Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for January 24th to January 30th of 2016. Excuse me. And on January 24th, we have the sun. It's in Aquarius. It's also in the 41st hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 41. Numbered from bottom to top, the 41 goes yang, yang, yin, 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 yang. And then the 41st hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here, this is the 41st gate of contraction, decrease the limitation of resources, which maximizes the development of potential. Located in the root center in an abstract collective energy path in the sensing circuit called the channel of recognition, the design of focused energy feelings that connects with the 30th gate of recognition of feelings, the clinging fire, freedom recognized as illusion, a limitation as fate. And I have found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, and I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on January 24th. We have the sun in the 41st gate with the earth in the 31st gate. The north node is in the 6th gate with the south node in the 36th gate. Mercury is at a standstill or stationed prior to turning direct on the 25th in the 38th gate. We have Venus in the 10th gate with Mars in the 44th gate. Jupiter is retrograde and it's in the 6th gate along with the north node. Saturn is in the 5th gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune is in the 37th gate. And Pluto is in the 54th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And the neutrino forecast is really just a weather report. No matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we've got no channel definitions due to the transit field. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ra said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when he was talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On the 24th, the day begins with the sun in the second line of the 41st hexagram. And the 41-2 is described as caution, humanism tempered by pragmatism, exalted a conservative nature that does not risk its own security in aiding others, energy for one's own feelings but not for others, detriment, a desire for recognition that throws caution to the wind, depleting valuable resources for only temporary recognition, the energy for display of feelings for recognition. And the line of the hermit, this is a line where in lower trigram, people are more looking inward. They're waiting for something. They're waiting to be called, particularly called for their natural talents. The hermit line is not a great day to have a big social event, because people would rather stay home under the influence of the hermit. But that doesn't last very long. Later on the 24th, the sun then moves into the third line, leaving the hermit line, moving into the martyr line of the 41st hexagram at 5:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 41-3 is efficiency in times of decrease. The selfishness is justified. Exalted material ambition and discipline to go it alone. The energy that fuels the feeling for personal ambition. Detriment and instinctive assistance. Admirable, but not in the position, but in this position misguided, where two will use up resources twice as fast as one. The energy that fuels the feeling to share. And this is the line of the martyr, which is a trial and error process. Bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into us under into that third line energy, so be careful of the road, be careful of things in your environment, like a swinging door or somebody's elbows. It might be a day when you might have bonds made and broken or feel like everything's on trial. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But hopefully if they do, they lead to some form of discovery. On the 25th, the sun then moves into the fourth line, so leaving the martyr line into the opportunist line of the 41 at 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the sun in the 41-4 is described as correction, successful adaptation to limitation, exalted survival of the fittest, and its eventual flourishing. The energy for adaptation and a deep feeling of survival, detrimented the expenditure of energy on maintaining relationships rather than on correction. In times of decrease, weak associations that are shunned as costly no matter how attractive. Excuse me. The energy which fuels holding on to feelings rather than adapt. And fourth line days, we move out of the lower trigram to the upper trigram, from an inward perspective to more looking outward, with the themes of friendship, companionship, networking. Fourth line days are great for social interaction. And then also on the 25th, the North Node moves out of the 6th, leaving Jupiter behind, and it moves backs into the 47. And the South Node moves from the 36 to the 22. So we have the South Node in the 22nd hexagram. The North Node is in the 47th hexagram and gate. And Ra talked about the nodes being openings for neutrino energy from outside of the solar system and to be representative of our environment. The nodes are almost always retrograde, so they shift. It represents moving from the first line of one hexagram into the 6th line of the previous hexagram. The North Node is in the 47, activating the energy of realizing oppression, a restrictive and adverse state as a result of internal weakness or external strength, or both. And in the 22nd hexagram and gate, the South Node is in the gate of openness, grace, a quality of behavior best suited for handling mundane and trivial situations. And then on the 26th, the sun then moves into the 5th line of the 41, the heretic line, at 2:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 41-5 is described as authorization. The external recognition of one's potential despite limitations. Obviously, Mercury's retrograde is affecting me here. Exalted, the value of energy when properly channeled, the fuel for properly channeled feelings despite limitations. Detrimented, a persistent dissatisfaction with limitation which hampers development even when supported. Limitations initiate the fuel for negative feelings. And the 5th line, the heretic, what to know about the 5th line is it's about projection. The projection goes positive, then negative. Positive, they could do it. They're the perfect person for that, whatever that might be. And then if they don't do it, can't do it, for whatever reason, they don't meet that expectation, that's when the projection turns negative. That's when the person gets punished. That's when the heretic is tied to the stake. So a 5th line day is a day of suspicion, but also a day of universalization, where something can leak out and spread rapidly like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video or Facebook post or anything that gets a lot of attention. But there's also a great deal of suspicion and paranoia associated with a 5th line day, which impacts the nature of relationships. As I said before, if they are projecting on you and you're not meeting their expectations, they could be out to get you, which wouldn't be paranoia after all. Seduction is also a theme of the 5th line day. And then also on the 26th, we have Venus moving out of the 10th hexagram and to the 58. And in human design, Venus is very powerful and deeply misunderstood. According to Ra, it brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Your design and personality, Venus, is tell about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life. And then if you don't act with moral clarity, that Venus can be unkind in its retribution. And Venus is in the 58th gate of correction, of aliveness, the joyous. Stimulation is the key to joy. And Venus is exalted in the first line of the 58, which is the love of life, exalted. The very stimulation of the world is a basis of an aesthetic appreciation of its beauty and wonder. Alone or shared with others, this profound inner realization is the key for a joyous harmony with the process of being, the energy which fuels the love of life. And then on the 27th, the sun then moves into the 6th line, the role model line of the 41st hexagram at 12:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just 17 minutes after midnight on the 27th. The sun in the 41.6 is contagion, the law that the maximization of potential not only ends decrease, but inevitably such transcendence benefits others. Exalted, the maximization of the potential of form, the father whose success will benefit his children, the fuel for recognition through feelings, detriment of the tendency in transcendence to keep it a secret in fear of being deprived of his special advantages, the fuel for secret and repressed feelings. And 6 line days, I like to think about the 6th line as being on the roof of the hexagram, being on the roof of a building. We don't tend to look at the building as much as what's around the building, what's in the neighborhood, what's down the road, what's on the horizon. 6 line days are about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds, because you'll end up with something banging into your shins or your kneecaps. It's a day when there's a lack of focus on what's going on around us, because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. And like a 3rd line that day, there could be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming. Later on the 27th, the sun then moves from the 41 to the 19, and the earth moves from the 31 to the 33. Find it good. All right. So we have the Earth. It is in the 33rd hexagram in the gate of privacy retreat, active withdrawal, and the transformation of a weak position into strength. And this shift happens at 10:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the sun in the 19th gate of a wanting approach, that all things are interrelated, is apparent and manifested through the action of approach. And the sun is exalted in the first line of the 19 and described as interdependence. Exalted, the successful approach does not lose its individual character in acceptance. The pressure of wanting without losing one's identity when accepted by others. And Ross spoke about the sun going into the 17th hexagram as bringing the energy of I need, which really puts us under pressure to begin something new. We feel the pressure of the new year beginning, the pressure of needs, the need to have enough food, not just for you, but for your tribe, and maybe some extra in case some of the extended tribe needs resources, to have all the resources that are rooted in the material demands of living in the tribe and the community. the needs related to home and family, the pressure to have the needed resources begins with the sun in the 19th gate. And now we're in a new hexagram. First, second, third lines are lower trigram. This is time when people are looking more inward, more absorbed in their own process, with the theme of the first line day being a fear or anxiety that needs to be investigated. It's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And then also on the 27th, Mercury moves from the 38 and it joins Pluto in the 54. And Jupiter moves from the 6 and it retrogrades back into the 47. Where it is joining the North Node. So Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So this is communication and expansion, human consciousness through communication, not just as words, but also as music. And what do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design, Mercury, through the medium of our personality, Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 54th gate? Well, we might be communicating that the pressure to move up the ladder to gain resources for the tribe. This is the gate of ambition, the Marian maiden, interaction in its mundane social context, but also in one's mystical and cosmic relationships. And Mercury is exalted in the first line of the 54 due to Pluto also being in the 54. And this is influence, exalted, the ability to achieve through secret relationships, anywhere from the private advisor to the Satanist. Ambition energized through secret relationships which fuel influence. And then also on the 27th, Jupiter moves from the 6 and backs into the 47. And in human design, Jupiter is generalized law, the electromagnetic central operating theater for the way in which the solar system operates. And living by the law can bring great good fortune. Activations in our human design chart tell us about the law we must live by. To benefit from the generosity only comes from deep obedience to honoring your own law, your individual strategy and authority. And with Jupiter, it's in the 47th gate of realizing oppression, a restrictive and adverse state as a result of internal weakness or external strength or both. And Jupiter's retrograde, so it backs into the 6th line of the 47, which is futility, a difficult position for which there is no exaltation. Exalted, no polarity. Detrimented, where the strength of will alone may find a way to adapt and survive, but without hope of ever overcoming its oppression. Life as an ordeal stripped of realization. And on the 28th, the sun then moves into the 2nd line of the 19th hexagram, and this shift happens at 8:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 19.2 is described as service, the dedication of personal resources as a result of external conflict. Exalted dedication to service, dedication and service to the highest values. The energy to want to be of service, detrimented, protracted indecision, but given the nature of this position, eventual compliance, the need to be wanted that will eventually turn its energy to service. And 2nd line days, again, we're talking about the line of the hermit, where people are waiting to be called for their natural talents. Not a great day to have social experiences because folks are all focused on their homes and things like that under that hermit line, being at home. Also on the 28th, Mars moves from the 44 and into the 1. And so we have Mars is in the gate of self-expression, the creative, creation as a primal force, the energy potential to manifest inspiration without limitation. And it's in the first line of the one, which is creation is independent of will, exalted time is everything, self-expression, which has its special timing, detrimented instability leads to distortion. Here, patience is a virtue and revolution a vice. Creative instability unless there is patience. And Ross spoke about Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. And Mars represents the warrior archetype in mythology, and that by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. And on the 29th, the Sun then moves into the third line of the 19th hexagram at 6:43 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Sun in the 19.3 is dedication. Receptivity to approach can only be maintained through vigilance. Exalted, the natural ease in which communion is maintained. Sensitivity and ease fueled by the acceptance of others. Detrimented, a tendency to moodiness that can lead to carelessness. The need to be wanted, hampered by oversensitivity. And third line days, again, we're talking line of the martyr, trial and error process, bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. And then on the 30th, the Sun then moves into the fourth line. So again, moving into the opportunist line of the 19th hexagram at 4:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where the Sun in the 19.4 is described as the team player, individual approach which attracts and accepts cooperation, exalted, the power and energy for outward activity and the ability to accept others as long as they can keep up, a driving force that can benefit the whole group, the energy to seek out and exalt the company of others. Detrimented, attractive, and cooperative, but a tendency to dissatisfaction with the contributions of others. A sensitivity energized by the limitations of others. And like I said before, fourth line days, we move out of the lower trigram to the upper trigram, moving out of the personal process to a transpersonal process with the themes of friendship, companionship, networking, and social interaction. So no matter what energies are conditioning you during the week, remember this experience is about being a passenger, riding in a vehicle driven by the magnetic monopole. Enjoy the scenery, let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe your play, watch your movie, as well as act your part by remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be for January 31st, 2016. Should be available on the 30th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, and I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. If you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available, and as I've said before, you can email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you want to make a donation. I'll give you instructions how to do that, or get a reading. It's a great way to support us here on New World Birth. And as I've said before, we are going to be raising prices for the first time in over 3 years. Not a lot, but if you want to get a reading at the current prices and the prices as they've been for the past 3 years, please contact me sooner rather than later. As always, I'm blessed that you've connected with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra used to say, love yourself. All my best to everybody, and look forward to connecting with you in the future.